Welcome back to Inside Games, the only gaming news show brave enough to cash in on Redfall's disastrous launch, but still we're going to try to be nice about it a little bit. I know you don't like that, but we are.
We're trying, at least. There's not a whole lot to be nice about, unfortunately.
Yeah, Redfall is enemy number one for the moment, at least until there's a loud noise to distract everybody.
Well, until then, gamers just keep tossing them stones, which has brought Redfall to another ignominious milestone. After getting bashed for performance issues, the co-op vampire shooter is now one of the worst reviewed games on Steam ever.
Oh boy. It's now the 14th worst reviewed game on the platform with a paltry 2.83 average review score.
If you're wondering, the game with the lowest Steam review score ever is War of the Three Kingdoms, followed by Flat Out 3, Chaos and Destruction.
The situation is slightly less dire on Metacritic, where the PC version's user score of 1.9 is just shy of cracking the 100 worst ranked games of all time on Metacritic. It did slip below 2009's Tony Hawk Ride, though, and that really does not feel good.
What feels worse, having a user score below Tony Hawk's Ride or playing Tony Hawk Ride? So what's the deal here? I mean, Redfall's no gem, but is it really one of the 15 worst ever games on Steam? You know, this is Steam we're talking about, right? Steam. You're going to tell me that Redfall is actually worse than hundreds of asset flip hentai games that publish there every day?
I mean, we are not saying that, but we're also not saying that. Redfall doesn't look great, especially when you, like every other Reddit post out there, just completely ignore the fact that the game is $10 on Game Pass. It's $70 on Steam, but I promise you nobody's playing it on Steam. There's 3,000 reviews on Steam for Redfall, and about 700 people playing it right now. So everybody's playing it on Game Pass.
At least that's what we hope. It does seem like a lot of people just chose not to play it. Redfall did drop under 1,000 concurrent players on Steam on May 4th, which PC Games End notes is well under the usual player count of 1,500 for Borderlands 2, a shooter that launched over 10 years ago.
All right, so we are going to attempt to answer the question, why are people so mad about Redfall? Yes, it is an embarrassing launch for Xbox, but the Dunkfest kind of seems a little disproportionate to us. That's what we were talking about in the last episode. So we're going to cover the history leading up to Redfall's release and ask the hard question, has Phil Spencer's Game Pass vision failed Xbox fans?
That's a big thematic question there. So we'll just start with a simpler question. Charlotte, why are the gamers mad?
Well, Lawrence, I can't speak for everyone, but this morning there was a bug in my shoe, so I'm willing to stake my claim on that being it.
It does seem like people are mad about bugs in Redfall, so Charlotte, I think I understand what you're putting down here.
I'm just spitballing over here, okay? They were open-toed, though, so it wasn't the biggest deal. It could be that a lot of Xbox fans are starving for some kind of big-name AAA exclusive. Anything to show that Microsoft's studio buying spree over the last several years is finally producing results. Instead, Redfall is another sign that, try as they might, Microsoft has not been able to produce a signature exclusive the way Sony and Nintendo have for years now.
It's hard to look the other way when Xbox just keeps stepping on rakes, and all the rakes have a little pie at the end, so they get hit with the pie and the rake. Yeah.
Their pants fall down.
Yeah, there's a boing sound, and you're like, where did that even come from? But it's still funny. They land in a tuba.
It's good. Yeah, no, they land in the orchestra pit. Yes, naturally.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I mean, Halo Infinite was supposed to be the game, right? They promised it. They delayed it. It was, everyone loves Halo. Master Chief Xbox, finally. It fell a little short, yeah. And then continued to fall short across several updates that were delayed or had less content, or like each one was okay, this is the one, we're starting over. And it just did that for like years and years. So,
I've spent more time playing a faithful recreation multiplayer map of Waffle House than I have playing the campaign. And I don't think there's anything wrong with my actions.
Also, by the way, we've forgotten about Forza Horizon 5. It got a lot of praise. It was a good game, probably the closest they have to a big-time exclusive, but we know it is absolutely not on the same level as Zelda Tears of the Kingdom or The Last of Us. Psychonauts 2 were really stretching.
I love the Horizon series. It's just, I feel like it's hard for people to grab onto the same way. There's no main character. The McLaren Senna is not on the tier with Joel and Mario, as much as I would like it to be. Anyway, it doesn't help that Microsoft's competition already has big games queued up for the rest of the year. Sony has a nice timed exclusive in Final Fantasy XVI coming out in June, and the aforementioned Tears of the Kingdom is releasing very soon on the Switch. For Xbox, the terrible launch of Redfall also adds even more pressure on Starfield, the space adventure game from Bethesda, to rescue Microsoft from the dreaded Xbox doesn't have any good exclusives tag. And speaking of console wars, how is the latest generation doing?
Well, when it comes to sales, the PS5 is pretty comfortably ahead. I think, I just kind of felt that from the earth, you know? In February, it was reported that Sony had sold 32 million PS5s, with supplies finally becoming readily available.
I cannot believe 32 million PS5s have been made.
No, we did it. As for Microsoft, well, we don't have a clear number because long ago they stopped reporting sales. But some estimates had Xbox Series X and S sales at around 20 million units. That's pretty solid.
It's an improvement, theoretically, which is always what you want in business, as long as the arrow's going up. Because last generation, it was a bit of a stomping. The Xbox One got its cheeks clapped when it was really outsold by the PS4 by a 2-to-1 margin, which was actually from Sony documents, I think. That got revealed in the lawsuit stuff. But sounds like Sony's winning again, and a sizable lead, but maybe a less sizable one.
Yeah, that previous generation, that loss that Microsoft took in the last console generation was incredibly costly, especially according to Xbox boss Phil Spencer, right, Charlie?
Yeah, he was speaking recently on Kinda Funny's Xcast when he said that the Xbox One generation was the worst gen to have lost because that was the time period where most gamers had built up their digital libraries on their consoles of choice. And overwhelmingly, that was on PlayStation, due in no small part to its strong library of exclusives.
Yeah, there might have been a couple of other reasons.
Introducing TV, watch TV, TV remote, TV experience, TV, sports TV. Anybody?
Phil said that these days, Xbox isn't competing with Sony and Nintendo for console sales, and that even if Starfield was an 11 out of 10, it still wouldn't meaningfully cut into PlayStation or Switch's market share. We're not in the business of out-consoling Sony or Nintendo, Phil said. Well, that's good. I guess it would be nice to know what they are in the business of, though. While he maintained that the console is the core of the Xbox brand, he also added that we have to go off and do our own thing with Game Pass, with the stuff we do with Xbox cloud gaming and the way we build our games, because there's not a win for Xbox in staying in the wake of somebody else.
So, the major question there is, how is Game Pass doing? Well, last November, Sony claimed that Game Pass had 29 million subscribers. That was actually discovered in regulatory filings as part of the ongoing war over the Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger. Early in 2022, Microsoft itself said Game Pass had 25 million subscribers.
And those are the latest firm numbers we have. Earlier this year, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said that Game Pass had hit a subscriber high without giving a number. And nothing says everything's fine here, like sharing no additional details.
Yeah, as for Redfall, Phil said he's disappointed with the game, but they're committed to improving it through updates. Interestingly, he said that Xbox's internal reviews of the game were much higher. The Xbox Series X version is currently at 58 on Metacritic, and Phil told Kinda Funny that Redfall's review scores were double digits below what Redfall scored in mock internal reviews prior to launch. He also said that Starfield won't have the same problems, because it was integrated into the Xbox pipeline earlier in its development compared to Redfall.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I hope. I want Starfield to be great. So, in summary, he says, we're sorry, we'll fix this one, and the next one will be better. Something we've heard a lot of times before, but, maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, maybe it's real this time. Instead of like every other game that releases and we hear that exact thing. To be fair, though, I mean, at this point, we actually can point to a couple of examples that have actually been patched and become good. Cyberpunk, obviously. Battlefield 2042 is actually pretty good now. Even Star Wars Battlefront 2, Bruce, I know you like to kind of back this one up.
Yeah.
Eventually, it became a good game. It just took a while for them to sort out what the content they wanted. I don't know. It's a little weird, but
They didn't want microtransactions, Lawrence. They hated them.
Yeah, because they sucked.
They were terrible. And then once they got rid of that, then you were good to go. Also, even for Xbox, I have been saying this since Redfall launched. I still think Sea of Thieves is the direct comparison to Redfall here. Sea of Thieves launched in a real bare-bones shape. I remember everybody shitting on it back when it came out, and justifiably invited a lot of concern about the quality bar of Game Pass back in 2018, because Game Pass was kind of new back then. They quietly added content to Sea of Thieves, and It's now a substantially improved experience. It truly is. It's a great video game.
Yeah, it's kind of like that too. At the time when people were mad at Sea of Thieves, they just conveniently ignored the fact that you could play it on Game Pass. Like, it doesn't help your argument, so let's just pretend it's not there. Very weird.
Yeah.
Semantics aside, none of that probably makes Arcane or Xbox fans feel any better about the state of Redfall. Add it all up, and you got a fan base that feels pretty underserved after years of disappointments, not to mention just the larger trend of huge games releasing in less than stellar shape. Yeah, it's almost like you expect a month or two of rickety patches before a game's really solid. So all seems to be coming to a head with Redfall. But now onto the opinion corner of the game. We really let it hang out. Really tell the internet what we think. This is a question that I think a lot of people discussed when Sony basically said they couldn't manage a subscription service or that it wouldn't be economically viable. But under Game Pass, do you think Xbox even needs those games? Have they just given up trying to make AAA because it doesn't matter? I don't know. What do y'all think?
It's such a pickle because, like, I am someone who likes the big game releases, given, my time constraints and my schedule. I can't play every indie game. So I like a big kind of landmark title. And it would make sense if you're at Microsoft, if you want your games subscription service to continue, you want to stock it with games as a service. The games as a service type game is tough to come out with a big launch, grab a lot of people and keep it, which is their ideal situation. They need a Destiny, Sea of Thieves type thing that can keep a steady player base going, but I'm still so confounded by Redfall because I'm like, what fan base is it for? I'm ride or die. I just got a Prey tattoo and I'm not playing Redfall. So I don't know who it's for, but I would like to see more big games like this. I just don't know how they fit into this Game Pass ecosystem.
To me, it feels like they do. And if their Game Pass subscribers are plateauing, then that's a powerful business case for it. I guess we're all still kind of in the dark, Microsoft included, about basing your entire game ecosystem off a subscription. But that's the value of a AAA game is in how many Game Pass subscribers it drives. Maybe you could probably read into how Netflix orders and produces shows and the way that's changed from traditional movie production. Maybe there's a lesson to be learned there. But yeah, I feel like games of service is great because the revenue is so much higher for the effort you have to invest, and it's recurring instead of getting all your money at one time and then it's a desert until you launch another product. But for a subscription service, really you just need a rotating roster of games that retain your current subscribers and constantly onboard new ones. So from that perspective, they do a good job going around getting a bunch of AA games to fill out Game Pass. So that's I as a subscriber feel pretty satisfied. So yeah, I think they do need a big marketing blast around a game that everyone agrees is really good. And so they get the word of mouth, and then they have a lot of marketing budget they can throw behind it to onboard tons of new people that put in their credit card number and forget about it. And then Microsoft's made in the shade for a couple years. So yeah, they need it. Maybe it'll be Starfield. I guess the interesting thing is they can wait because the game's always going to be there. So if Starfield is also crappy, but a year from now it's good, they can market it then, and maybe it'll grab people. I don't know. Bruce, what were your thoughts?
Your comparison to Netflix is exactly the right comparison. A few developers I've talked to about this whole Game Pass phenomenon is that Game Pass is looking to hit every single week with some game that sort of jumps into the press cycles, like Hi-Fi Rush, like Redfall, there's some new game on Game Pass every week that will slowly push subscribers to it versus 3 big games of the year, Halo, Redfall, and Starfield. And then Game Pass is devoid of content after that. They kind of want the slow trickle. And I don't know if they're getting that. I think they probably are currently, but they're spending a lot of money doing it.
Yeah, I mean, with streaming services, the ones that go only originals first, that is not the strategy. That does not work. Peacock has Friends and Disney Plus has The Simpsons. It's all about the catalog that you have that keeps people coming back for regular watching. It is not about, I don't know, whatever new season of You on Netflix. It's, it's 20 seasons of some CW show. That's where the money is. And I don't know what the games version of that is.
It's where your save files are.
Oh,
yeah. That's what Phil was talking about, man. You got all your trophies stacked up in one pile. You're never leaving it. You're gonna be like Smaug sitting on it until you're dead.
Hey, speaking of Phil Spencer, here's the next big question. Has Phil Spencer failed Xbox?
I like to consider this from a business perspective because boy, has he talked Microsoft into spending a lot of money, which is awesome. just based on the amount of money that he's been told he can spend, I don't think he's failed anyone yet from a business perspective. Because to me, that question it's all based on when Microsoft expects a return on all the money they're spending. And I don't think that's come yet, mostly because they're still spending money. So I think Xbox has a vision that Spencer sold the rest of Microsoft on, and he's got like 10 years and unlimited money to get somewhere. I don't know where they want him to get. And when that bill comes due, I am really fascinated to see what changes. But I think for now, he's still got the goodwill of everyone in Microsoft. I don't know about externally, but that's a different question.
Do Xbox fans deserve better?
Yeah, no, I think,
right.
if my natural inclination is to rail against gamers after a story where it's like 3,000 awful reviews. But, if you are just paying for a service and you are locking yourself into an ecosystem, which is what Xbox seems to be doing with all these acquisitions, then you should expect to be rewarded for making that choice. You should be taken care of. If, you don't want to get like, I don't know, if you're all in on Stadia or the Soldier Box, and then all of a sudden there's no games for it. So yeah, I do think that they deserve better than something like Halo Infinite, which was like just coasting on a legacy that it did not live up to. Disappointingly, I really, really like that multiplayer. I had a lot of fun in it, but it's just totally dead now. I deserve better, is what I'm saying.
I tend to agree, actually. I think in terms of if Xbox is now synonymous with Game Pass and that's the value proposition they offer, then I'm cool. Because, yeah, Redfall's not great, but Ghostwire Tokyo just hit Game Pass, and that game's phenomenal. So if you want an open-world spooky game, it's right there, and it's so good. Granted, it came out a year ago, but, if Game Pass is your ecosystem, that's kind of the blinders I'm looking at that through. And that's how I use it, so I feel like a satisfied customer. I don't feel like canceling my Game Pass anytime soon. But, yeah, I do think they got a fan base that it's kind of tragic that there's not like a proper Halo or any number of Xbox franchises. I don't know, Crimson Skies? Does anyone care? I guess
No.
it's really
It's like
just
being
Halo.
a Knicks fan.
Because like the team deserves better, but
Yeah, they're in Madison Square Garden.
but
For God's
they're
sake,
never,
the basketball mecca.
they're never very good though.
They'll say they're better now, but
I truly think Starfield, I don't know that it's going to make or break this generation, but I really think that this is it. It's got to be, for Series X, succeeds or fails on Starfield. I really do. Because if Starfield has a bad launch, which it's going to, by the way, it's not going to be launching perfectly. If it has an Elden Ring launch, then Xbox has an entirely new life. But I think it's probably going to be a pretty bad launch for Starfield, and that might be the end of the generation for Series X. They're just going to have to look forward to the future of whatever the next Xbox console is.
I just want to say one final thing out there to the internet. For all the time that you spend mad about Redfall, you could be playing Hi-Fi Rush and be happy instead.
take a walk.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Take a walk.
touching grass is always a good idea. If
Wait,
you
Lawrence, hold on. Lawrence, allow me to interrupt you and
right, please.
pretend to be the gamer, all right?
Okay, all right.
Because this is what I've read 1,000 times in the last week. If we don't complain, Lawrence, then the video games will never improve. They'll never improve, Lawrence.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too, and it's almost like it is almost like based on this belief that there's a line you have to hold and push back against and fight for, and that's cool. I don't want to tell you not to believe in things, or like push for the change you want in the world if you believe that it's right, but just examine how you're spending your time, maybe strategically. Because yeah, I scrolled all the way to the end of the Metacritic list when I was writing the script. Diablo Immortal's almost there, not quite. It's one from the bottom. God bless it. And a lot of people did a lot of heavy voting to get it there. But did it matter? Did it matter in the end? The time spent and the thoughts and the coordination and the clicking and the scripts. It's got a good rating on Apple Store. It earned a lot of money and the world moved on. The corruption didn't spread. There's no cancer that spread throughout gaming because you didn't fight Diablo Immortal. Because the systems that guide this stuff are so much bigger than auto-botting the user review score. So, just relax. Like, you're one person of billions, and your essence matters, but the botting you do on the internet, maybe not so much. It's just noise. And if that's your hobby, then man, I guess I can't stop you. But you could be playing video games and having fun this whole time.
That's right.
I don't want a bunch of like emaciated skeletons on their deathbeds to realize that they could have been playing fun video games this whole time.
I get feeling, completely unable to control anything, that everything's beyond my power. But have you considered, instead of writing that review, just going on the balcony and smoking a J?
I also, for all the people that had insulted my appearance because I said Redfall might be fun, because there was a lot of that. I was thinking, interestingly, they kind of led right into my own discussion of like, hey, don't personally insult people. Instead, just say the Redfall's bad and move on. A lot of people ignored what I said, which was get a refund and don't buy any more games from Xbox, or cancel your Game Pass subscription. Do those things. Tell them with your wallet that you don't like the video game. Leaving comments on our videos about my hair isn't it. I promise. It's not. You're not doing anybody a favor, and actually, you're kind of making yourself and everybody else around you feel like garbage. Just get the refund. It's pretty simple.
It's a cycle, right? Not to keep us going too long, but they're like, I paid money for a video game. I didn't like the video game. Now I get to review negatively that video game. If I buy the next one and it's bad, that will have meant that my outcries were ignored, and I can be just as mad and get on again. And I will be mad, but I will buy it because I need to make sure that my crusade is working, or rather not working, so I can continue it.
Guys, it's not doing anything. Every time you buy it, they look at their sales and they go, oh man, that's great. The sales are up. That's just every time.
Balcony, Jay, a kind sativa.
Open your third eye and realize...
My brother, yeah.
There may be more to life than consumerism.
Damn, man, those chakras are blocked up.
Hey, speaking of consumerism, we've got some special patrons to shout out due to their incredible contributions to the marketplace of ideas and the Inside Games Patreon. They actually support Christopher Glavin, Rook, Captain Coldblood, Charles Guard, and Nightport.
Oh, Bruce, I got some patrons here that are equally remarkable because, get this, I found them. The only people to never once say anything dumb online. Never once. Every tweet a diamond. Baron5X, Loveless, Aiden Foley, and Pitstrip, thank you very much for your impeccable intelligence.
If you'd like to hear us say your name and give you an always accurate title like we do every single episode, please consider joining the Inside Games Patreon. We have a variety of benefits, including a new patron-exclusive weekly comic where we tastefully meme on current events.
Always tasteful. Here's a little teaser of this week's comic. See? It's basically the New Yorker, but for gamers. Don't you want to be...
They don't know what the New Yorker is. They don't know what that shit is.
Archie comic? What's a dirty mural on a bathroom wall, but punched up a little bit? How about that?